class format. I'm going to go through loosely 20 slides in 20 seconds each, and then we'll get a chance to have a conversation. So let's get started. So you're probably wondering why there's a 12-year-old Asian kid on stage talking to you about mobile advertising or whatever the fuck I happen to be doing. This quickly is a screenshot that explains a bit of who I am. Counter-Strike Source was a big part of my childhood. I played a lot of it, let's just say that. I remember being very bored through school and ended up skipping a whole bunch of grades as well. So I ended up skipping grades 2, 7, 9, and 11 and entered college when I was 14. And that was in Canada, in British Columbia, in Vancouver. I'm Canadian. Booyah! Yeah, Canada! Yeah, thank you for the people who like Canada. And I ended up moving down to the States actually in 2010 to work at a company called Dig. Some of you may have heard of Dig. It was a social news site that had a lot of traction. Unfortunately, in that form of that part of its life, it didn't suffer a great fate. And I was actually laid off 5 months later. But, you know, times at Dig were fantastic. I was 19 when I was hired there. Unfortunately, in the U.S., that is not a legal drinking age. But I was tasked with the responsibility of throwing parties with a lot of alcohol for reporters. And unfortunately, as well, the beer fridge at Dig had this sign on it. Our HR director did not like the fact that I was underage, and I was barred from entering the vicinity. So about Kiip, what is Kiip? Why did that idea come about? It's very simple. Realizing this one big problem, which was that the current mobile advertising experience, and you guys have all experienced this, is absolute terror, right? Like the shit flies in your face, kicks you out. We've all experienced this, and we, for some reason, have accepted it as the norm. And why does that have to be the case? Shitty user experiences should never be accepted. Just because it happens to be what everybody does doesn't mean that everybody has to do it. And so what we ended up realizing as a little bit of an insight was that in every single game on the planet, we started with games because games happens to be one of the most popular app categories on the app stores across Android and iOS, that there's this universal thing called the achievement moment. You can level up, get a high score, do something meaningful. But we call it the E moment because it involves emotion. Usually involves you feeling happy and feeling satisfied, or some type of a generally positive emotion. Now, most advertising at the time, and even more so now, doesn't care that you're happy, doesn't care that you're feeling anything. And so our thing was, what if it could care? What if there was a response to your emotion? And so for us, the principle was about finding the human. And as obvious as this seems, many of us have to remember that at the end of the day, the person that's using this thing is a person. And that we feel, we happen to have this unique characteristic that allows us to emote. And being able to harness those emotions in a meaningful way without abusing it is something that we realized would be potentially very powerful if we did it right. And so we decided that one of the best ways to reward, I gave it away, shit. The best way to engage with people emotionally is to reward and to reciprocate. And we do this as humans very well with friends. We give back, we spend time, we support each other. There's a lot of reciprocity in our lives. But for some reason, that was very devoid in any type of brand interaction whatsoever. And so our idea was to, let's take these moments that are very much so everyday victories, people hitting high scores, being happy, and let's bring brands in to be there to make them feel like they can be rewarding and even augment that emotion. And we decided at the same time as well that these rewards needed to be tangible and meaningful, and not just, you know, hey, here's a badge, or by the way, just so you guys know, for the record, and I'm biased, a reward is not a badge, right? And these things are not the same, and they have their own utility. So I'm not saying one is more superior than the other. I'm saying that what we wanted to do was figure out how we could make the tangible aspect possible. And so we figured it could be things as tangible and as relatively valuable as exclusive content, to actual coupons, to actual product, to exclusive access, you name it. These were all things we realized could be very, and I described it this way, you know, to a teen girl, an exclusive video of Justin Bieber is definitely a lot more valuable than a 10% off United coupon. For me, the 10% United coupon obviously makes more sense because I fly a lot, but to her it makes no sense. And so we also realized one key thing. At the time when I was starting the company, I was reading this book called Predictably Irrational. Some of you may have heard of it. It's like a 101 book on behavioral economics. And I was inspired to make these rewards serendipitous. So not to tell you how to get them, like hit level 10 and get this. And the reason why we did that was very simple. That would remove the intrinsic motivation for you wanting to play the game in the first place. All of a sudden, the object becomes the reward. And that's very dangerous. We wanted to preserve that intrinsic motivation. You wanted to play the game because you wanted to be entertained, not because you want some gift card. So the serendipity enabled us to preserve that. Now, we then decided to build out this model. And luckily, I was able to, literally in Silicon Valley, it happens quite often, you bump into some venture capitalists in the street, you're like, bro, hey, you know, they're like, here's some term sheets. I'm kidding, it doesn't have that way. But that happened in some form with a few VCs early on with us, and we were able to start building out the model. We wanted it to be beautiful. Now, very rarely does someone in mobile advertising go, let's make it beautiful, right? It's always, I don't even know what happens in those boardrooms. It's more like, we'll just put it out there. It seems like it's okay, you know, it's not like terrible. But we wanted to hold ourselves to a higher standard. And this was something that we ended up creating, this beautiful experience around rewards. And that's something from American Apparel, by the way. And, you know, this is why I guess we're here. We got named this year to the Fast Company Top 50 list, most innovative in the world. And we beat Microsoft, right? Yeah! We beat Microsoft! No, more like the multi-billion-dollar R&D budget was no match for our 10 engineers, apparently. I give them props. They've been doing very well. And one of the other things that we also did was a very huge accomplishment that we're very, very, very excited about was earlier this year, those of you in the ad industry knows that there's basically 4 companies that controls most of the media buying in the world. One of them is this company called Interpublic Group. And we were able to bring on a strategic investment from them. It was a very sort of humbling moment because, you know, the last investment was Facebook at $200 million. Now, obviously, the amount of money they invested in us was a little bit different. But it was something that really showed that at the holding company level, there was a focus on this. And it was very exciting for us to see that. And some of the ways we've grown now in terms of milestones is really cool. We've raised now in total about $15 million. But these are some of the stats. We've distributed about 117 million rewards in the last year. Every month we see in these moments that I mentioned, again, we don't make any of our own games or apps. We leverage the ones that are already very popular. And right now we're seeing about 330 million of those every month. So 330 million times of people going, yeah, 330 million times is pretty awesome, right? And that emotion is very powerful. This is something that we've been super stoked about. But as I've been teasing, I kind of mentioned apps and stuff now, and you'll sort of quickly detect the theme that this model has applicability outside of just games, right? We started with games. The DNA is gaming because it's very much so a very explicit manifestation of an achievement moment. But when you look at other categories, and this was kind of an epiphany that we had as a team in early 2012, which was, hey, you know, there's these other categories. You can go into fitness. You know, you logged your run, or you counted your calories. To even in recipes, you bookmarked a recipe. That's a huge achievement moment. You now have something new to cook. It isn't just the same old casserole every fucking day. And then you've got productivity and utility, right? This is a big deal. You finish your to-do list, right? That's a big deal. And some of the stuff we did there was super cool. Like Warner Brothers was giving away a free TV show download if you finish your to-do lists between the hours of 6 to 9 p.m. every day. It just made sense. And soon we realized that, oh God, this started with games and now this has become something even much bigger. And this is a real sort of 20-second snapshot of our network across the country. These are all moments, and they're now found everywhere. And we also needed to figure out a way to structure these and to think about it in a very systematic way so that it wasn't super haphazard whenever we walked into any conversation with a brand. And so we created something, and this is the first time we're actually showing this publicly. We created something called the needs wheel. Now I know this is a little bit small, and hopefully you guys can see this. But basically what it is, it's a way to see across the entire day the moments in time that matter. And also the products that could potentially be relevant and rewardable in this. And you can detect the trend in all these products here. They all happen to be under the Pepsi portfolio. Now this is just one example of Pepsi, but you can think of the many other brands that this could be applied to. And we're super excited that we were able to sort of structure it, having these ways to look at day parts right in the middle, because during the day we'll have different needs. We evoke our phones almost like a power. Right? We kind of go, oh, I summon you, oh smartphone. Tell me where the nearest sushi restaurant is, right? Because I'm craving sashimi. Right? This type of stuff that's what we want to do eventually when we see it. Now, a little bit of future gazing. I truly believe that moments of achievement are not just exclusive within our phones. They can exist in pretty much now any connected device. This gets really exciting. So when you think about it, Nest, you guys have all heard of Nest, hopefully. You can change your thermostat from thousands of miles away from your smartphone. Imagine hitting your energy consumption goal, and Con Ed can give you a reward, or in West Coast PG&E, or whatever. These are cool shit, right? You got like Tesla, like your car's connected. You've got your fridge, your vegetables are going to get rotten. It detects it. It can give you a reward at Whole Foods. Stuff like that. That's where it gets really exciting. And I need to bring it back to really focusing on what really made this model, I think, work with the consumer, which was we're not trying to make anybody do anything new. We're simply tapping into patterns that already are happening. You are already going to be using your phone for these purposes. If there's a way to tap into that in a meaningful way, you have something very powerful. And this is a fundamental principle here, and I love this sort of sweating. We're all about happiness at Kiip. And we realize that emotion is core to this value proposition, that we need to show people that when you feel happy, everything around you is amazing, right? It's like when your favorite sports team is winning, you'll hug the dude next to you as much as you hate him. It doesn't matter. You're going to hug him anyways. These are the types of things that happen. It's a magical thing. You can't really measure it, but that's the emotion value behind it. We also wanted to show that this emotion was truly real and how people would actually gift things. So we did an experiment last year where people could actually re-gift their rewards. I know, right? Regifting, becoming culturally acceptable. And it was actually really fun because people were actually seeing the point in this. And the big word cloud you see in the background are all the words that were in the message field that people were sharing it. So love, being the biggest, was very much so indicative that people got it. Now we had stuff like boyfriends would re-gift their 1-800-Flowers rewards to their girlfriends. I'm like, dudes, you guys can't be better than that. Come on. But anyways, so our mission is we want to make every achievement moment on this planet matter. And these are all everyday victories. They have their own value. And we don't want to dilute it by rewarding every single one of them, but we want to show that these, and earth them, and show that these moments are everywhere. And how do we make them truly meaningful? And so this is some of the stuff that we've been doing just to share that within our own culture and also externally. Moments matter is our mantra, and our office is posted everywhere. We decided to buy a billboard just for the hell of it, and it was fun. And people were like, "You're measuring the ROI on that?" I was like, "Fuck, I'm measuring the ROI on my billboard? What the hell?" And that's it. Thank you very much, guys.